All right. Good morning, everybody. We're at 11 a.m. here, and we'll get started shortly. We have a few attendees that are still joining. All right. We'll go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining our session today. For those of you that are new to the webinar, thank you for joining us. And for those of you that have attended before, thank you for returning. Today, we're going to be going through the 2023 R2 new features and have a lot of exciting content to cover. We'll go through some key highlights as well as a demonstration. My name is John. I'm a practice manager in business applications here at SVA, and I'm joined by my colleagues, Logan and Kaylee, who are business solutions consultants and work daily within the Acumatica application. As we go through this today, for those of you, again, that are new to this webinar, we do accept questions throughout the presentation. If it's related to the content that we're covering, we'll try to address it then and there. Otherwise, we do have a Q&A session, some dedicated minutes towards the end of the presentation today to address those. And depending on the time, if we're unable to get to them, we will follow up to make sure that we have those answered for you. So feel free to drop those in as we proceed. All right. So a few things for us to cover as we get started. I'll go through our agenda quickly and then jump right in. We do like to start with an upgrade overview. For those of you that haven't gone through the upgrade process with Acumatica before, we want to make sure that you have an understanding of what that process looks like and also understand the cadence for which these updates are produced and published by Acumatica. We'll then go into some new features, just walking through on the documentation side. We'll speak to them. We won't necessarily be demonstrating some of these features today. And then we'll jump right into the core demonstration where we'll get inside Acumatica and see a number of key features that we've identified from the release notes of Acumatica and attending their presentations that we wanted to share to the community. We'll wrap up with some enhancements around the integrations related to Shopify and Amazon, and then we'll discuss our upcoming webinar in December. All right, Kaylee, I'm just going to do a quick check here. Are you able to see the features agenda here? I want to make sure we're paging appropriately.
Yes, I can see it.
All right. As we get into it, a few resources that you have available to you within the Acumatica community. With each release of Acumatica, they do detail out those in a notes form for you to review. Now, these notes here, I'll just bring up on the screen real quick. You'll see very detailed notes from these releases, roughly 270 pages or so, where you can go through and see in detail all of the changes. We won't be reading these individually to you today. We'll save that for perhaps another webinar. Also, too, within the Acumatica community, you can monitor product ideas. I do encourage the attendees here to go check out that community. It's an interactive forum where you can post ideas, you can track existing ideas, and you can vote on those. Acumatica does pay attention to that forum, and will take those ideas into consideration as they produce each release. And so I just have up real quick just the ideas landing page here for the Acumatica community. All those will be linked in the follow-up from today's webinar. As we get into the Acumatica versions and builds here, so some clarification around that. Acumatica has two major releases every year, R1 and R2. R1 is typically released around the April timeframe, with R2 here in October. Between these major releases, there's going to be build updates that occur for bug fixes, minor improvements within the system based off of known issues that have been reported. Those can occur anywhere from 2 to 8 weeks, depending on the release. And so those are something to be aware of as you experience perhaps any challenges within the product as you stumble into a new version. Those will be addressed within those build updates that happen incrementally throughout the year. We have a diagram here of the product support lifecycle. So to keep current with Acumatica, there's typically an 18-month support for any release. And then at that 18-month mark, Acumatica does retire those versions. So with that, we do encourage minimally an annual upgrade, and then if possible, taking advantage of both R1 and R2 throughout the year to keep Acumatica up to date. So performing those upgrades twice a year to take advantage of the new features, one of the key benefits of being on a cloud-based ERP system. Right, and then real quick, getting into the upgrade process. What does that look like if you do want to upgrade? Definitely feel free to connect with us at SVA. We're happy to take you through that process. Or if you have questions around perhaps an existing upgrade, some information around that, we'd be happy to provide it. As we get started, we always like to kick it off with a planning phase to understand exactly what has to happen from a custom reports inquiry perspective, how that'll be handled in the upgrade. We'll then kick it off with a 90-day sandbox, and I do want to point this out because this is critical. So with each major release, R1 and R2, you as an Acumatica consumer would have a 90-day free sandbox. This allows you to test in a separate environment to make sure that at the time you upgrade your existing environment, you've already worked through the testing, the bugs, your business processes, and you're comfortable with that upgrade. And then a couple things, I'm just going to tab through these. What SVA offers and can help with is tailored training through the acceptance process before your system actually goes live on a new upgrade. So as I showed, there are release notes that can be around 270, 300 pages. If you're jumping multiple versions, that can be a lot of documentation to consume. So we do offer tailored training based off of your organizational needs. And we can walk you through the acceptance process so that you can comfortably accept that system before you go live with a new version. Now, the 90-day sandbox is available. We do recommend, hopefully it goes quicker than this, but around that 75-day mark is really what we shoot for, to give you about 2 weeks of having a test environment still available after you're live. All those details we'd be happy to work through if you have any questions on it. All right. So as I said, there's a few key features that we want to review before getting into the actual demonstration. So first off, we have some mobile enhancements. I do like to use these upgrades as an opportunity to speak to the mobile app for those that aren't using it. What you'll see in the most recent update with the mobile application is key improvements in navigation and sorting options. So historically, there had been a challenge with sorting lists and inquiries. You'll now see a sort by function that's available within the mobile app and some other enhancements around just general navigation in the system, keeping up to date with a modern interface for those that are using an iOS or Android device. And a few common uses as well, not necessarily unique to 23R2, but again, I'd like to point it out for those that haven't started using the mobile app. We see usage of the mobile app specifically around time entry and expense entry, approval management, seeing dashboards while you're on the go so you can see metrics into your business while you're away from perhaps your laptop or PC. Also managing any tasks that you have, very easy to do within the Acumatica app. And of course, the mobile app does use your phone's native features for phones, uploading artifacts into the system, pushing notifications, alerts, all of that great stuff that's available to you. All right, so what else can we expect in the 23R2? Going to take it into the web-based side for the usability enhancements. We'll start first with the bank feeds enhancements. There are two primary components on the bank feeds. So this is allowing you to interface from Acumatica to your banking institution for the exchange of transactions, importing data into Acumatica. That is done via Plaid or MX. They've set up now custom mapping rules to help drive that information that's coming into the system and the cash transactions that result. So you can automate that process more through custom mapping rules. Say, based off this information, I want it to land here in the cash transaction that will be produced in Acumatica. Historically, that had to be handled through import scenarios. They've now added that into the bank feeds module. Also, too, one quick important item is the test bank feed as well. So Plaid now offers a Plaid test environment, a sandbox environment for you to connect into to test these transactions. We used to have to connect directly into an active account to bring in those entries. And now Plaid is offering a test environment that's available under the bank fee type dropdown in Acumatica. So that sandbox can be very helpful as you're making decisions to bring information into the system. This is the reason I called out the next one is because we've had at SVA a lot of requests to handle this missing component of Acumatica. It's a small feature, but an important one. In mass processing screens, we had not had the ability to filter based off of the branch that we're in. So for our multi-entity clients, that had been really a challenge, and we had supplemented that with a customization to allow it. Now in 23R2, Acumatica has incorporated that across the processing screens. I have a screenshot, for instance, for the release transactions process. In your column configuration, you'll now be able to select that branch. So a small detail, but one that we've heard a lot at SVA, and I wanted to point that out as an improvement. All right, and so with that, I'm going to transition over to Kaylee, who's going to walk us through some enhancements in AP document recognition.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so I have two kind of main finance related elements we wanted to touch on today. The first one being the AP document recognition enhancement. So now within 23R2, there's a branch selection within those incoming documents. So typically that branch would just default to whatever branch that user is signed in on, but now you have the ability to adjust that to accommodate whichever branch is associated with that document. In addition, there's the ability to read multi-line labels, and then an enhancement related to that date locale recognition as well. So recognizing the locale within that invoice and then accommodating that accordingly. And then the next one is a pretty big addition here. Acumatica Payments has been in the works for a little while now. So with 23R2, Acumatica Payments is native within the system. So fully supported by Acumatica, no customizations needed. And really the kind of goal behind this was to better accommodate customer self-serving of paying their invoices. So it supports the commerce, mobile, and portal integrations, multiple payment options available. I have some of them listed there, basic things such as credit cards, but then opportunities to incorporate loyalty programs, click to pay, paying on your mobile device, point of sale, and then with that daily integrated reporting as well. And then going with that customer self-servicing, there is a payments portal, or you can integrate it with the Acumatica customer portal where the customer can log in, view that invoice information, and then pay it directly from there. And with each payment, there can be sent out a payment link to the customer to pay. And then my favorite is the QR code. So on that invoice, you have the QR code where the customer can scan it and pay it directly on their mobile device as well.
Excellent. All right, with that, I think we can transition over into the demo. Now, you might have noticed that we temporarily lost Logan due to some connectivity issues. Logan, are you all set to jump in?
Yeah, good timing. I was able to get that back. I apologize for the technical difficulties.
It always happens during the live webinar, right?
Good time for Zoom to crash, yes.
Yep.
I'll go ahead and share on my screen here. All right, now we can transition over into Acumatica. There's a few system improvements that I wanted to cover for 23R2. And I'll start on just the general system user interface improvements. So intelligent text completion. And to demonstrate that, I'll go ahead and go into the time and expenses module and create a new task. And so one thing to be aware of in order to utilize this functionality, a system manager will need to go into the enable disable features and make sure we enable this feature within our list. To demonstrate, so to start, I'll go ahead and jump into a task I created ahead of this meeting for demonstration purposes. And again, this is not specific to task.
All right, I think Logan, you had one more issue with the Zoom.
Can you hear me? Hopefully that's the last one. Okay.
All right.
I'll share my screen again then. Hopefully it does not happen again. All right. I don't know where I lost you, but we're on the task screen here. Pre-populated this ahead of this meeting. What I really wanted to demonstrate here is the intelligent text completion. So anywhere there's a rich text field, we are able to utilize this functionality. So to show this, I'll go ahead and create a new line. And so what we'll see is we have suggestions for text to complete this phrase. So I entered in, could you please, and then we'll see that list of drop-down values. And so we can either double click one of these options, or with our arrow keys, we can toggle down. And so if I want to make this, could you please provide an update on the status? I can go ahead and hit the right arrow, and that will.
All right. I am not sure what's Logan, we keep losing you here.
Yeah, I can try to keep going here. Again, sorry for the technical difficulties. I don't know if it'll continue to do so. I'll try to keep moving forward. All right.
All right. Yeah, so with that intelligent text, I think, Logan, we did lose you briefly when you're discussing the with a text setup. You can do that at your profile level. So this is a user by user feature that can be enabled. I think that had been mentioned as you're transitioning between screens the last time.
Okay.
Lost chance here.
Yeah, and just so to expand on that, so again, it's going to by default be active for all of our users. If we wanted to deactivate that on any individual user profile, we could go into the My Profile up in the top right-hand corner of your screen, go into My Profile, and then we'll see a setting that we can toggle for the intelligent.
Oh, man. Right. Seems that we, right, apologize for the challenges here. 1 second. I think we might be losing Logan again. All right. Kaylee, I think with that, perhaps we can just do a quick transition over into the integrations, and we'll see if we can get Logan reconnected here. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to share the integrations piece. Okay. We'll go ahead and jump into that. So.
All right. Yeah, so we were going to save this for the last little bit here, but I'll touch on this right now while Logan's rejoining. So there was a couple updates in terms of the integration side. Both of these are closely related to that retail and commerce modules within Acumatica. So the first being Shopify. Shopify integration existed, but it was particularly business to consumer related integration. So now they have additive B2B features as well. So now there's an integration between their typical e-commerce, point of sale, and B2B sides within Shopify. So added features such as a customer hierarchy, being able to differentiate an individual buyer versus a business or organizational buyer, price list integrations, the integration of purchase order numbers into that sales order within Acumatica, and then any of those offline Acumatica orders, so not made within the storefront within Shopify, can sync back into that customer record within Shopify as well. So again, all those features such as customers, orders, prices, stock items, etc., that existed before are still there, but just added features on top of that. And then with the Amazon integration, we have the integration within the United States and Canada, and I believe it's still expanding to other regions. And there's synchronization across both modules and entities. So within Acumatica, we see synchronizations with those order management, inventory, financial, and CRM modules, and then integrating entities such as those orders, invoices, that inventory tracking, shipments, and then shipment tracking notifications as well. So pretty exciting there. I think we might have Logan back, so we might try to give him a stab at presenting again.
All right, I'll give it another attempt again. Sorry for that. So I'll share out my screen here. Hopefully that's the end of the technical difficulties for me. All right. Here. All right. Okay, unfortunately, I'm not exactly sure what is happening. I don't know, John, would you be able to share your screen here?
If I can get into your, just give me 1 second here, Logan. We should be able to.
While John's
All
pulling
right.
it up, feel free to drop any questions you may have into the chat and we can kind of address those accordingly.
Right. Again, apologies for the technical difficulties with our Zoom presentation.
We do have one question in the chat. So we have a question that says, is the default for the auto text to be on or off? Logan, I don't know if you want to touch on this. Otherwise, we can as well.
Yeah, so with that configured, that should be enabled with that feature being switched on in the system. And then as a user, you should be able to independently disable that feature. So the default setting should be on for that intelligent text. Logan, do you want to try sharing back out your demo? I'm going to also try to having some credential issues with that environment. Let's try one more time here. All right, now I think we just have your muted mic and we should be able to hopefully proceed for a little bit here.
All right. So I don't know where you lost me the last time. The last piece for the intelligent text completion that I wanted to touch on was within our system management queue here. So to actually train the model as it should get smarter over time based on your text patterns, we would go into the system processes under system management. And from here, we can either set up a schedule. So if we wanted to update this for all of our users on a set day, let's say over the weekend, we can set up a schedule to process this once a week. Or if we want to manually do this for one individual user, we can do so as well. So if I were to find my user accounts, go ahead and see. Again, this will just be the user login name. I can click into my name and then hit process. And what this does is update the intelligent text completion based on all the text that I am typing into the system specifically. One warning that you may get is if there's no one typing in. So these are demo users, so obviously they're not in the system actively typing. So if I were to try to process one of these, we'll get a warning. The record's been skipped due to a lack of training data. They haven't been entering in information in the system. There's nothing they can train the model on.
All right, Logan, so far so good. The connection has been maintained. Yeah.
All right, a little choppy there
Probably
on the
just
intelligent text completion, but hopefully that process made sense a little bit. Transitioning then into the CRM functionality improvements, we have sales territories, which is new in 23R2. So if I go into marketing here, we'll see this sales territories listed underneath preferences. What the sales territories allow us to do is set up regions within the system for things, example, like reporting analysis of opportunities, sales, if we want to assign ownership, which I'll go through here in a second. So if we wanted to assign an owner based on our region, we can do so as well. So if anyone, any new opportunities in the Eastern region, we assign to one specific user or work group, we can drive that through the sales territories functionality. And with that, we also have a side panel associated with the sales territory screen. So let's say I wanted to modify the East sales territories. I could go ahead and hit our icon on the right-hand side here. And this is a direct entry form. So this is the same as the processing screen you would normally go to for the sales territories. So let's say I wanted to add an additional region to, or a different additional state in this case, to the East region. I can go ahead and find one here, a little bit of a geography test. So if we wanted to add in, let's say Virginia, go ahead and save that. That will now be a part of the East region. So in a minute here, I'll demonstrate creating a new lead. It will assign based on that territory designation here. We can create these by country and state. So the state designation is available for the United States and Canada. So if you want to further break that down within either one of those countries, we have the ability to do so. Close out of my side panel here. And then we'll go back into the marketing module to just show that assignment map that I mentioned previously. So in our customer management preferences, we have the ability to set up assignment maps.
We were cruising there for a little while, Logan.
Yes.
Going into the assignment maps to assign your sales territories.
Yes. All right. We'll keep moving quickly here. So into the lead assignment map, we have this ability to, again, assign. So I won't go too into the specifics of this. If you do need assistance setting this up, please feel free to reach out. But in this case, we could assign the lead based on the sales territory ID field, and we have that value. So in this case, the Midwest. And then based on the rule actions, that's going to assign it to a specific employee or work group or a combination of both. So you can see in this case, any new Midwest leads are going to be assigned to Nanad. And I can demonstrate this through the creation of a new lead. I'll exit out of the screen here, go back into the marketing module, and I'll create a new tab.
All right. Well, Zoom does not want Logan to present today.
Looks like we got a little support in our chat queue. People are saying makes them feel better. They're not the only ones this happens to. So thank you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate that. All right. So let's see if we can pivot here. Jump into all right, we're going through the assignment map here with Logan. Go ahead and see if I can pull this up. All right, go ahead and share this out here.
All right. John, I don't know if you have any luck trying to access the environment.
Yeah, I was able, I actually got the back end here, some admin rights in. So Logan, I have been able to bring in been able to access the system. If you want to try to assign the leads, otherwise I have queued up to our next section for cases.
Okay, perfect.
Right.
All right, I'll go ahead and create a new lead then here. And then, so it's driving this based on the state. So if we're trying to get it to assign to that Midwest value, we'll go ahead and type in Minnesota here for
Oh my gosh. All right.
All right, John,
I'm gonna go ahead and generate this lead.
I might ask you to take a shot at it here.
I'll go ahead and I was able to get into your environment. Now, hopefully Zoom doesn't kick me out as well. All right. Are you able to see Acumatica here? So it temporarily froze on my side. Hopefully it didn't boot me from the Zoom lobby here.
Yep, we're able to see your site here.
All right, perfect. All right. So I'm just going to generate a lead here, and description our Zoom expert. There we go, Logan.
John, I think your screen might be frozen, actually.
Is that right? Oh my God.
Yeah.
I am not sure what is causing all these Zoom issues today. Try this again. All right. Are we good?
We see.
I'm seeing your screen right now. Let's see if it keeps up.
All right, so it kicked me out too. I really apologize to our attendees here. We're clearly unable to get Zoom to cooperate with us. Go ahead and try to share my screen one more time. See if we can get something moving here. But alternatively, what we can do is we can just go through our wrap up here, hopefully quickly, if this does not continue to work, and we'll share out a tutorial after, once we have an opportunity to record this. But are you able to see the lead screen here?
Yes.
All right. So I have created a lead, and Logan here, you can see our Zoom expert here. So I think what we're doing here is creating one for Minnesota.
Yes. Yep.
Go ahead and see if we can save that. So based off of that assignment map that Logan had walked us through, we have applied the Minnesota state, and based off of the sales territory, we see that that owner has been automatically assigned within that lead. So based off of it being associated with the Midwest, we have our owner here that will automatically populate within the lead based off that assignment map. All right. Logan, any further information around the lead generation?
So one additional item, and this applies to opportunities as well for this functionality, but if you go into the CRM info tab,
yep,
you should see that it defaults into that Midwest territory. You can override this if for whatever reason this was not applicable, so you could override territory and change that. Just one feature. It will default into the correct one, but if for whatever reason it is a different region, we can override that value.
Right, so if we associated that here, go ahead and save that. And we can now attribute this to that sales territory to the east. All right. All right, moving on to the case assigned to generate returns from. So within Acumatica now, if I go into, let's just make sure that I have under the cases side here.
Should support to the right side of your screen. Here, John.
Yeah. Here we are. There we go, perfect. So we'll go into a case that we have live. So within Acumatica's new features here for 23R2, we do have the ability to create returns now directly from cases. So as we receive support or support requests that are related to replacing a product, we can now directly link that between the case and a new order. So under this particular case, we have a request for an order return. And for those of you that are interested, we do have other webinars that are geared specifically towards the CRM and case management. But for today's new features, we're going to go into the ellipses here, and we're going to create a return order. So I just started that here, and we'll go ahead and generate this. You'll be prompted at this point with the order type that you would like. So based off of your order type configuration, you can go ahead and select that from the drop down. Let's say for this particular one, we're going to go ahead and return for credit. We can select that and create. Now from here, a few things are going to happen. There's going to be an association back on the key case here under our relations tab. From the case management side, I can see that we have indeed generated a return order request through the sales order side. And then the sales order here, we'll go ahead and save this, the new form that has been created. We'll see this also as well under the relations side, a link back to that case. So it's helpful here at this standpoint. We've received that support case in, and we're going to go ahead and create that order. I can funnel in the details here for that inventory item. Let's say that we are returning a laptop here for credit. We can go ahead, add that in. And let's say that we have 2 laptops. that were broken in this process. Go ahead and save that. And now we have our order. Again, link back to the case, new feature there to help facilitate any support requests in that case. All right. Logan, any additions from your side on the case? Otherwise, we'll jump into some of the improvements around the sales order functionality.
Yeah, I think that's the primary new function here is just going to be that ability to create that order and then the relations tab on both the sales order side and from the case, you can see that those two items are connected.
Perfect. So the a few of the enhancements here around the sales order side, as we look to this, I'm actually going to navigate out into, let's see if we can find here an active sales order, just a standard SO type. All right. What I'm going to do is just real quick, I'm going to copy this and I'm going to generate a new sales order here to be produced based off of that customer. And you're going to see a few enhancements based off of the creation of the sales order. So first, if I scroll over to the right, you're going to see, let's go here. You're going to see a estimated margin within the line detail. So based off of the margin setup within your item, you can see an anticipated margin, and you can have a notification around that, or should I say a warning. So the estimated margin here and the estimated margin amount available at the line detail level. Now, among other enhancements too within the sales order functionality, you're going to see, I'm going to page over to the left here, we've added in this administrative charge. So this is just a non-stock item set up as a charge. And under the total side, you'll see the order totals being reconfigured here for you. So what you're going to maintain is that estimated margin based off of the product, percentage, and amount. And then you're also going to see a breakdown now of the goods on the sales order versus the miscellaneous charges. So again, on my details tab here, you're going to see that $45 charge. We have 3 individual charges here for our Acer laptop. We've just associated a $15 charge. Let's call it a processing charge. We're all a fan of those with each laptop. And so that's being split out from your totals within your sales order now. So Acumatica continues to make enhancements around the main screens, especially as you're trying to analyze certain orders or certain data within the system at an aggregate level. So you can see, in this case, your margin, your profitability based off those sales orders. Thanks. All right, Logan, any additions?
I don't think on anything you just covered there. I think a good way of illustrating our next point here, though, is to look at the line details and kind of show the manual allocation process. So if we were to click one of our items.
Oh, go into
and then we have, actually, so if we hit the line details right above to the right, we can see the manual allocation process before we go into the mass allocation process.
I see what you're saying. Yep.
Yeah. There's a bit of a curveball there. Yeah, so from this screen, we have the ability to allocate out inventory from this sales order on an individual one-to-one basis. In previous versions of Acumatica, this is how you'd have to allocate out inventory. When needed, you need to come into the individual sales order and check this allocated box. The improvement comes, and John's going to show us here in a minute. There's now a mass processing screen for this in Acumatica.
And this is definitely a helpful improvement around the allocations. So as we jump into this mass processing screen, we're going to go ahead and select the warehouse. Just going to make sure. I think if we select, let's do warehouse instance. I'm going to grab. Logan, do you have a recommendation on the warehouse to select?
Let's just select an. I think wholesale is okay if we select an action right above.
Perfect. I'll do the allocate sales order. There we go. So we have the ability, based off of the mass processing screen here, to go through a different level of allocation. So again, adding some flexibility to how we allocate out inventory. Now, what might be helpful is perhaps we have pay in advance statuses within these sales orders. So as we're in the warehouse, the wholesale warehouse location, and we want to allocate those sales orders, you can see a number of different types for which we can drive that allocation. So one might be, like I said, we have a pay in advance process where we want to look at only our open ones So at this point, our standard that pay in advance, we know those payments have been received and these are now in an open status and we can advance these forward. We want to allocate that inventory out appropriately. So we can select those and we can go ahead and process. I'm just going to do a reset here. Go back in allocates. We're going to go ahead and pull up the wholesale here as well. And you can also have designated priority. You can filter based off of types. So one, for instance, might be perhaps your Shopify orders or your e-commerce orders. Perhaps we have an immediate delivery that we need to accommodate. We would like to ship those out very quickly. So we can manage those sales allocations as we need. Much more flexibility in 23R2 than we've seen in prior versions. Now, it's also helpful about this, again, being a processing screen, we can add a schedule to that to allow the system to automatically generate these allocations based off of those preferences that we have. Now, what you'll also see here as well, based off of your selection, you can review by the order date, you can review by the line detail, the requested on or the ship on date. And then also too, any of those that are nearing expiration, you can make that selection as well. So under that sales order, again, that's going to be your managed sales allocation mass processing screen here. And again, very helpful in creating some flexibility around that. All right. Logan, are we on to the simplified bill of material?
I think so. Yeah, we burned quite a bit of time with my Zoom issue, so let's keep it moving.
Keep moving forward. All right. So for a few things here on the inventory side, let's go ahead and jump into the stock items. And Logan, do you have a preferred stock item here that I can select from your environment?
I think that just that top computer should work for this demonstration. Yeah.
We'll navigate into the Acer laptop here. All right. So if we take a look at the manufacturing side, we'll see that this Acer laptop is not associated with a bill of material. And we do want to ensure that that does happen. Now, what Acumatica has provided underneath the stock item side is the ability to go ahead and add in that bill of material through the pencil icon here. And what's helpful is that as we do that, we're drawn directly into the bill of material. You'll also see the ability to on the planning bill of material side as well. We can go ahead and generate this generate this bill of material with the right operations, the right materials. And I'll do an abbreviated version of that. We just add in one operation here. I'm going to associate this with my assembly work center. And I think for this particular piece, this laptop is going to be made out of Legos, I suppose, for this particular bill of material. So we're populating the bill of material. We have our operation, our materials defined. I'll go ahead and save that. And now I'm also going to activate that bill of material and save it. So again, I'm doing this directly from the stock item. I come back into this screen and Acumatica has defaulted in that bill of material for me. So the improvement here, really trying to streamline that process for our inventory items as we're looking at that inventory master to create and apply bill of materials. What you'll also see here too, if I come back into this, I'm gonna go ahead, put this on hold. And you'll see within this case, Acumatica will continue to point out that there's no active revisions. So this triggers to me that, okay, I need to modify this. Again, jump right into that bill of material and I can select a new revision or activate the current revision. So very helpful in that navigation. All right. Logan, any additions on the simplified bill of material?
Nope, I don't think so. Yeah, if we can navigate into the general tab, I think the planning method would be one additional piece here on the stock item as well.
Yeah. So on the stock item configuration here for the item defaults, introduced now into 23R2 is the distinction in the planning method. So we have the MRP and the inventory replenishment. In previous versions of Acumatica, we have seen a very little delineation when we want an item to be populated via our MRP or inventory replenishment. So what this allows is true distinction within that planning setup, making it more user-friendly, in my opinion. So as you select MRP, you would be able to go into your inventory planning, and you know from a stock item perspective that this has been configured for MRP, again, separating the two out very clearly. And if I go into, say, the inventory replenishment, you're going to notice a few changes with the replenishment parameters being defaulted in on that item. Now, this is addressed at 3 tiers primarily. You're going to see it at the item class level, the individual item level, and then based off of the item warehouse combination as well. So your warehouse items. You can just distinguish now between MRP and inventory replenishment, again, just making it easier for the user to set up those parameters. All right. Excellent. Logan, any additions?
No, I think to wrap up the demonstration, I think there's a few things on the project side that have been updated here for 23R2. A few new side panels within the construction module
into the we'll go ahead and jump in. Let me just grab
construction, a few to the right.
Here we
there.
go.
Yeah.
And then so for the audience that's watching, I am in Logan's environment, so he's got to help me a little bit here. This is not my own individual demo environment. So thank you for the patience here.
Change requests and then change orders. Those are brand new side panels.
All right, perfect. Yeah, so as Acumatica continues to make enhancements around the side panels, we'll see this get applied to more areas. So as Logan said, we have the change request side panel here, where we can see the individual details of a change request. One thing I always like to point out on these side panels is they are true entry forms. So you'll see a live change request as I pivot between these. You'll see the information on the panel changing, and I can actually generate directly from this screen the next step. So that is an active entry screen on the side panel. Go ahead and save this, for instance. The same is true here if I jump into the change order side. You'll see the same side panel options. Now we'll see the change order detail and the preceding change request. So if I jump into the one that I just generated here, I'll see my change request details. Again, active entry forms that I can drill down into. All right. Also, Acumatica continues to expand the project reporting. So what you'll see here is a continued list around out-of-the-box construction project-based reporting for you. Acumatica has built this out over previous versions, and we continue to see that grow here. A few other items here as we go into other modules, or if we expand the scope of the projects, we'll see some additional, say, aging reports as well. So if I type in projects here, we're going to see, let's go by project. And I'm going to go into my payable side, for instance. You'll see Acumatica now allows you to view that aging by project, whether AP or AR. So this can be helpful as well to really break down our incoming receivables or outgoing payables. See if Acumatica can actually load the form for me. All right. So go ahead.
And then we also have the AP aged period sensitive, same as you normally have for standard AP documents. They now have the functionality for projects as well.
So we'll see that here, AP aging, and then we have the period sensitive as well. All right. Logan, any additions?
No, I think that's everything we wanted to demo, and we got there in the most direct way possible. Got through all of our topics. So
it was a little bit of a bouncy ride, but we got here. So we had covered from the intelligent text into the sales territories, getting those set up, getting those assigned. And then we had also moved into some of the CRM components with creating a order from a case, again, for return purposes, for instance. We covered the inventory process, some of the enhancements around the sales order with the estimated margin, the order totals. And then we also got into the simplified bill of material process within the inventory as well. And then some project enhancements. I think those are our key topics here. I can go ahead and share back out my screen. And Kaylee, do we have any questions now that we've been able to get into some of the content here today?
No more questions. Just some support in the chat. So thank you all for bearing with us through this demo process. And we appreciate the positive support you're giving us through the chat. So
yes, I'm going to go ahead and try to share out my screen. But as we know, I might get booted, so we'll see what happens. All right, are we still live?
Yes. Yep.
All right, it's got to do the check here. So as it stands right now, most of what I see in the chat is just support for all of our Zoom issues. Moving forward, again, just a reminder of our resources that are available to us. We do have product ideas through the community, and also to our product page and release notes. So again, do encourage the attendees here to go check out that community workspace, as well as check out the release notes. Much more detail in there than what we were able to cover today, especially with all the Zoom issues. If you have any questions on the upgrade process, feel free to reach out to us. That contact information will be shared, and we'll also have a survey following the webinar as well. If you could refrain from sharing out the Zoom issues in that survey, that would be appreciated. But if there are some comments or some comedy that you'd like to place in that survey related to it, I'm okay with that as well. Hopefully we'll have that sorted out for our next conversation, next webinar, which is coming up in December. So as we look forward, December timeframe, we would like to take some of these new enhancements and focus it in on an area. We'll have an announcement around what the specific functionality will be, but we'll go ahead and share that communication out. So expect that in the December timeframe. And I think with that, go ahead and stop sharing and check the queue one more time to see if there's any additional questions. But if not, I think we're all set. Thank you again for bearing with us as we work through those Zoom issues. Glad we were able to get through the content today, and we'll see you next time in December. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.